Today we're going to talk a bit about why we see so many life science companies who have a paper-based QMS system.
You can say that one of the things that we see kind of repeated is the time that people will actually think they need to invest into it. People are not specialists in implementing these kind of systems, and if they have to do everything on their own, it will take time. If you haven't prepared anything like procedures, tools for actually supporting the implementation, you will for sure be spending quite some time on this. And you can also say that many people are saying when we're talking with them that they want to do it, they acknowledge the benefit, but timing is not really right. And it's also because that if you think you are spending a half or a whole year of actually doing this kind of implementation, then it's kind of understandable that you need to do something else, because this will be kind of competing for the time that you can put into improving on the things that's really core for your company.
Yeah. So we've actually seen some companies that were able to implement an eQMS system in a matter of a month or two.
Yeah.
But when they had the right focus and that they were able to of course spend the resources needed to do this.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be fooling yourself and saying that this is a very easy task where you don't spend time on it. But if you have this very compressed way of doing it and really spending the time in the right way, then it can be done.
Absolutely. And I think we have seen some example exactly where there's coming some kind of external factor from outside that's kind of requiring that people actually do this move. Then we see that people can actually do it.
Yeah. I think then another thing we see a lot is the concern about price.
Yeah.
So having that unknown factor about implementing a big software system where sometimes a big chunk of that is an unknown because it's a time and material based implementation.
Yeah.
So do you think that's something which could prevent some of these companies from taking the decision?
And I think also that this is actually one of the reasons why maybe big companies can actually do this, because they actually have the money for actually doing this, but the average organization, they actually don't have this. So again, if you have this massive project where you try to solve everything in one single go, that's just the kind of situation. If you have to pay something right now, and you will first get the benefit out of that in a year, that's a big concern. The other thing is also when you don't even know what the total budget is, because the uncertainty about both your internal people, how much time will they be spending on it, but you're probably also paying external consultants for helping you.
Then we have another thing that I think we've both experienced in terms of the uncertainty about the regulations and am I safe to go to a digital to keeping my very valuable quality records and documents in a digital form, and trying to find out like what does it take do I need validation? What about like Part 11 compliance? Do I need that? So what is your take on that?
You're right that integrity of the records is kind of a key figure, because even though that you do a very expensive project, spend a lot of time on it, I think people fear if they will still be as in compliance as they are right now. And are you also absolutely sure that you actually did the right thing so that you can be in compliance with the new set of rules when you're moving for electronic records and electronic approvals? And that's the Part 11 part of it. And also which will require that you do the validation of the system. And honestly speaking, most people are not specialists in this. They didn't go into the business for being experts in this. So the uncertainty of having to spend time on this and also being your own expert on this, that will also be a concern.
Yeah.
And you can also say that this is something I actually have quite some experience with when I was kind of responsible for the IT application in a kind of the bigger life science company, because I think there's a lot of good systems out there, but there's also a lot of these suppliers of these systems where do they have the regulatory understanding, and not only the regulatory understanding, but will they also take some of the responsibility for that you are in compliance? Are they living by the same rules like you do? And I've met many companies out there with very nice system, but where I would probably take a less nice system if I were absolutely sure that they understood the regulatory kind of framework I need to move within, and that they also can help me take some of the responsibility for actually being in compliance.
Yeah.
And you can also say that I also see that there are some uncertainty from some of the users that really understand the system today on a piece of paper, because a piece of paper is very flexible. You can do whatever you want. When you are inside of a system that's actually ensuring that the processes are done in a certain way, it also means that some of the control you might have today is taking a little bit away from you. But it also means that you cannot cheat on the processes. And I would also think, wouldn't you agree that it kind of brings the quality system more out in the open?
Definitely. I've heard from different life science organizations that going from the paper-based system in paper binders were often owned by very few people owned in the organization, and going to a digital system would actually bring that into the light, and you tend to living more by the quality system.
Yeah, I think you're right that it's kind of a risk when the paper gives you all this flexibility, because it means that when you're being audited, you will probably bring everything out and you will ensure that you are in compliance. But there's a risk when the audit ends and you go back to a normal situation that you might be tempted for using the flexibility that is allowed by the paper.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot for the talk, Jacob.
Yeah, it was very good. Thanks a lot.
Let's do this soon again.
Yes, absolutely.